Guys, what is going on? John Anthony, Chairshot Sports. It's finally here. Folks, we've made it. March 3rd, 2024. AEW Revolution, the biggest pay per view for the AEW company. And also, it is now going to be Sting's last match. So, again, thank you for joining us. Again, I'm John Anthony. Thank you. Figured we throw together a prediction show, talk about the 10 matches that we have on the card. I should say 11. I apologize. Now with the 12-man tag that's been added to 0 Hour. So 11 matches. Looks like a great card from top to bottom. A lot of stories are going to be ended. A lot of chapters are going to be closed. And a lot of new stories look like they're going to be started tonight as well. So let's start with 0 Hour, which is, if you're new to AEW, if you haven't watched any of their shows, this is their pre-show. Usually throw one or two good matches on there, trying to get some people also showcased on the card. The first match we'll start with is the 12-man tag that was just announced recently. It's the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, along with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Simon Singh, Willie Mack, and the Private Party. Really haven't heard much from Private Party and those guys, Jeff Jarrett and the crew. Haven't really heard much from them since a while back, actually, more than a couple weeks. I think last time we really saw them being featured anywhere. A lot of them were getting attacked by the henchmen that were working for the Devil at the time, who we now know obviously is Adam Cole. This one's kind of a great way to start the pay-per-view off. Good way to get crowd interaction going, get the crowd hot. Bang Bang Scissor Gang, I think, goes over 1, 2, 3. Ever since they've gotten together, it's been a really good dichotomy, the two of them together. Comedy's been great. So Bang Bang Scissor Gang definitely going over. Great way to start off the pay-per-view. The second match, which is the main event of 0 Hour, is going to be Julia Hart and Sky Blue taking on Statlander and Willow Nightingale. This is a little weird to me. To be perfectly honest with you, I feel like Julia should be somewhere on the main card, defending her TBS title, whether it be against Statlander or Nightingale. I think you could have done without the 12-man match. I mean, I get it. You get them on the card, you want them to be showcased, but I feel like that match was a throw together at the end, where you could have had a really decent storyline built with Julia taking on a very, very deserving contender to defend the TBS title on the main card of the pay-per-view. But I digress. I think Julia Hart's going to get the pin on that with the 1, 2, 3. And I think whether it be Statlander or Willow Nightingale, I think between those two, you're going to see a new feud coming out of that tag. Probably into a new story for the TBS title. So here we go, main card. These are in no particular order, really. Kind of just starting with the non-title matches and building up obviously to the main event, which is going to be for the AEW tag titles with Sting and Darby. So we'll just start first with the All-Star 8-man scramble. We got Jericho, Hobbs, Archer, Wardlow, Hook, Brian Cage, Magnus, and Dante Martin, who just qualified on Collision. This match is being put in place because the Meat Madness match that was advertised cannot happen. Miro and also Keith Lee are injured, are not able to be in there. So as the last minute, they threw together the scramble. The prize for the winner who wins the 8-man scramble is going to be a future AEW World title shot. The way I'm seeing that, I think whether it was the Meat Madness match or whether you throw it in an 8-man scramble, make it a 12-man battle royal, a 30-man royal, at the end of the day, Wardlow is going to win that match. I feel like he needs to have that opportunity. It fits perfectly into the Undisputed storyline. Whether Cole is making him cash it in or giving Cole his cash in when he is medically cleared. I think Cole is probably medically cleared already. I think he's ready to go. He's probably doing a lot of training, getting ready, knocking off a lot of ring rust that he's had from his injury. But I think he's waiting for the right time to kind of show that he can go. Maybe come down in crutches and attack and really start just going into something either after a match or, something to that effect. But I think Wardlow's going to be coming out on top on that one, holding on to that future championship shot down the road, and that's going to fit well into the Undisputed storyline. Next up, we're going to have Will Ospreay against Takeshita. This again it's some of these are kind of just they tell the story themselves. I can't see Ospreay really going down his real first AEW match with him being exclusive to AEW. Unless you're going to see somewhere where Don Callis is going to interfere, someone else in the family is going to interfere on that behalf. When they did have that interaction on Dynamite, Ospreay didn't look too impressed to be talking to Callis. So you could see something like that, which will, you'll have that in-feuding going on. and kind of making your own story out of nothing with any of them to go on right now, and have kind of Ospreay do that for now and figure out what the next steps will be after he gets done doing something with the Callis family. You have the BCC also taking on FTR. I think this is going to be a banger of a match. Anytime those four men are in the ring, Moxley and Claudio against FTR, these guys go hard every time. Every time they're on either on TV or on a PPV, it's an amazing, amazing match. I'm leaning toward FTR, but I really think at the end of the day, the BCC is going to take this. I think it's going to be a heck of a match. Again, it's going to get the crowd going. I feel like that's almost falling like your midway match, kind of halfway through. Maybe it goes, somewhere a little higher than another match, closer to the main event, but really just get the crowd hot, a lot of interaction, a lot of back and forth, getting the crowd into it. So I think, BCC is going to have that one. So then we have our first, we'll talk about our first title defense of the night. The AEW International Championship, which is going to be Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. Again, all these matches, I'm not going to keep beating the drum saying they're going to be bangers. I think they're all going to be bangers from here on out. The rest of the card, even the ones on the bottom of the card, are going to be great as well. I definitely think it's Roderick Strong's time, and again, telling the story and fitting it all together, making the pieces fit as to why, which I think is what AEW is doing a lot better of now. Tony Khan and creative are starting to actually tell the stories and put the breadcrumbs together. It only makes sense with Roderick Strong winning that title, and then Wardlow having a shot at the AEW title. Obviously, Adam Cole doesn't have anything, but he's injured, so that's the excuse for that. But pretty much everyone in the group either has gold or is going after gold, which is exactly what Cole talked about when he debuted himself as the Devil. Exactly what that group was going to do. And I mean, if you're a WWE guy and an AEW guy and you're watching Undisputed, they're definitely doing a lot where the Undisputed is going to hold all the gold. And I like it. I like it because it makes sense that everyone in that group is dominant. They deserve it. But it was definitely a, hey, let me make this the same group I had in NXT when we had, all the gold, the NXT Championship, the North American Championship, the NXT tag titles. I like it. I like it. I'm not a big fan of all the parody that they do, but there's only so many times you can do things before it's copying. I mean, if you want Undisputed to come out and look unstoppable, like Cole put together this group of guys who can't be beat, who are all going to be at the top, it makes sense for, Roddy to win the title. Swinging after that, we're going to Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson for the Continental Crown Championship. And again, I think when this was given to Kingston, when he did win this, I think it was almost like, Eddie's out there being a good soldier. He'll go out there and do anything. He'll take L's. He'll eat L's. He'll get you W's. He'll go out there. He'll do crowd work. He'll get his ass kicked. He doesn't care. He'll go out there and he's just good at what he does, and he's great at interacting with folks. I think that was a nod to him by giving him the crown to be the inaugural champion. I think that ends tonight. I think Danielson finally gets his hands on some gold. It's been a while. Obviously, with his injuries and his time away, I think it's time for him to have maybe a decent run at this. If this isn't the last one, maybe one more chance at an AEW World Championship shot. But I definitely think him having the Continental title is going to happen tonight. Well deserved. And I feel like also with the three belts being carried around since the title's inception, since the title. I think you're going to see, if with Danielson winning tonight, I think you're going to see on Dynamite, you're going to see a new championship belt introduced. We'll talk a little bit more of that when we talk about the results from AEW Revolution, but I think you're going to see a new belt debuted. That seems about right. I mean, having the three belts is cool, but eventually I know that the end game at the end of the day was to put all three together and to form a brand new belt. So Bryan Danielson going over there. The TNT Championship, I apologize, with Daniel Garcia and Christian Cage. I've talked about this on Twitter, and I see a lot of people going back and forth. It's going to be so hard for someone to beat Cage because of the group he runs with Nick Wright, and you have his mom running around too. I'm sorry, Nick Wayne. I apologize. And his mom as well. Yeah, I think you're gonna see this whole Edge storyline of being hurt and of being out of action. I think you're gonna see him interfere on Garcia's behalf. Garcia also gave him his props from beating him, but also telling him he'll be waiting for him when he comes back because he's gonna have that title. I think Edge comes down on his behalf. Takes out Cage, which will set up your Edge and Cage probably 3 to 4 month feud. I think that is going to go and it's going to maturate its way all the way down to Blood and Guts, where you're going to see Edge and Christian build their teams. Christian's is already built in. Kill Switch. You have Nick. I'm sorry. So it's just you have these guys already built in, and then Edge can grab Daniel Garcia, and he can grab other guys that they can kind of join the faction along the way. So I think that'll be really good. But I think Garcia goes over today, takes that belt, brings it on home. But I think there's definitely gonna be some help from Edge, and it's gonna be setting up a Christian Cage and Edge story probably for this. You're probably gonna see this for the summer, if I had to guess, culminating at Blood and Guts. And then maybe a one after that gets done, maybe a final one-on-one. It's some kind of wild winner take all, someone leaves or some crap like that. However you want to do it, but I think it's pretty much going to boil down to getting to Blood and Guts. So after that, we start really getting into the meat of the pay-per-view. Deonna Purrazzo versus Tori Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. Purrazzo goes over. I think her debut garnered enough press, publicity, and just a lot of eyes on the product with a pretty decent signing. And Nick is also, Tony is doing a lot of what he can to build up the women's division right now in AEW. It was one of their biggest flaws, if you will. So he's definitely put the onus on that. We are going to be going to Big Business here in Boston at the TD Garden. So obviously with the eminent debut of Mercedes. So that's gonna be a hell of a show to be at. We'll be doing some live coverage from there as well. But I definitely think Purrazzo goes over. I don't think it's clean. I think there's definitely outside interference. Can't put my finger on it. I don't really know if it's gonna be someone in Storm's camp, but I think there might be some sort of nefarious interference to cost Storm this match. You could see. If you think about it, it could be. You could see Ruby, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you want to go that far back to really bring Tony back to a feud with them. Maybe it's someone that helps out. Maybe someone helps out Purrazzo, and then kind of is like, "Hey, I helped you out. Where's my title shot?" kind of thing. But I don't think it's going to be clean. I don't think it's going to be clean. There's going to be some sort of interference in some way, shape, or form. But Purrazzo does go over and takes the AEW Women's Championship. And then there's only really two left after that. You have your triple threat AEW World Heavyweight Championship match. Swerve Strickland versus Samoa Joe versus Hangman Page. So there's a lot of ways you could go with this. I'm going to fanboy book it. I think Swerve Strickland is the way to go. The iron is hot. Now, obviously, Swerve has come out and said it's history. He's going to be the first African-American AEW champion. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. And I don't think you should put titles on people for that reason, to be like that. But I think now is a good time. I think it's a lot of good things and a lot of good pub for AEW. AEW is getting hit right now for their ratings, for their attendance, things like that. You start doing these things with Swerve winning, a huge crowd favorite. This is kind of where you got to start. I never agree with fan booking and booking to like what the fans want. But in this situation, Samoa Joe is an amazing champion. He was a great transition from MJF. But Swerve is really the way to go if you're looking merch-wise, looking at selling out shows, arenas, getting the ratings on TV. I can tell you right now, if Swerve wins that belt tonight, Wednesday, I'm going to call it right now. I'm going to say it. This is recorded. We'll talk about it. And if he does, I'll talk about it again on the results show tonight. If Swerve Strickland wins the AEW World Heavyweight Championship tonight, I can tell you right now, AEW is going to have their first show in a long time to finally go over 1 million viewers. And the way you do it is by having Swerve get that belt. Hangman's not doing it. Samoa's not going to do it. You'll get close because you'll still want to see the fall off or who steps to Samoa Joe next, depending on how it goes down. If Swerve's a guy who's knocked out and Hangman takes the pin. And again, let's say MJF could come back. You never know. There's rumblings that MJF could come back tonight and cost Samoa Joe the title. I don't know. I've heard nothing on that front. I've called several sources that we have. I even called sources in WWE to see if they're hearing anything about MJF. That man is dead radio silent, and I love it. Wherever this guy pops up next, nobody knows. And if it is tonight on AEW, then kudos to Tony Khan, because this is one of the best kept secrets in a while. Even if he is injured, even if MJF is still injured, him coming out and costing Joe the belt, even his music hitting, him coming out to give Joe the, looking at the ghost and costing him that belt, still amazing. Because then MJF can do his mic work for a couple weeks. I'm not cleared to wrestle, but I'm here to talk to you about everything, that kind of thing. But I can tell you right now, I'll say it one more time. Swerve Strickland wins that belt tonight. Whose house? Swerve's house. He wins that belt Wednesday night, over 1 million viewers, guaranteed on Dynamite. And then obviously the main event of the evening. Why everyone bought a ticket in Greensboro, North Carolina. Why everyone bought one, baby. Darby Allin and Sting taking on the AEW EVPs, the Jacksons. There's a lot of ways you can go with this. I've been watching wrestling a long time. If you talk to any wrestling legend, you should never win your last match. Flair didn't. There's a whole long litany of Hall of Famers who had their last match. Kurt Angle didn't win the match. There's a lot of guys who know when you go out, you got to give the rub. Here's my problem with the rub. The Jacksons, the Young Bucks, whatever you want to call them, the EVPs, don't need a rub. They're EVPs. They're actual executive vice presidents of the company. They don't need a rub. They're not going anywhere. Yeah, right now they're hated. They'll get over at some point. They'll get back over his faces. They don't need a rub. When they came out and stood on that ramp after they won the tag belts, it didn't make any sense whatsoever at that point. I thought maybe they were coming back to find opponents for Darby and for Sting. That would have made a lot of sense. Made them jump through hoops. And if we're talking about the old regime in WWE, make them grab the brass rings, jumping through hoops to finally get to the match. Let's say under their stipulations or whatnot, but the Jacksons pick the opponents. When I found out it was them, I don't know. That leads me to believe there's another avenue here. There's 3 other avenues of how this can turn out. And I put a poll up. Go ahead and visit us on Chairshot Sports on Twitter or on X. I put a poll up. I don't think anyone wins clean. Whether it's Matt and Nick or whether it's Darby or Sting, neither team wins clean. There's only 3 other ways this is going to work out. One, as alluded to on Dynamite 2 weeks ago, Ric Flair gets involved. Now, we had the spot last week where Rick came down, acted like he was going to hit Sting, and took out the Jacksons. Now, how many times in WWE have you seen the double swerve? That could have been all pomp and circumstance to make it look like, okay, Rick's still on board. Rick turns around and gives him the old kick to the junk, gives him the low blow, hits him with the baseball bat. It would be apropos if Ric Flair hits Sting with a baseball bat and causes him to take the fall for his last match. But the problem with Ric Flair is Rick wants one more match. Sting wants one more match. Well, this is his last match, but you could get one more match out of Sting with Rick and him. And that's why that sucks if that's the ending they go with. Because, yeah, the match would probably be horrible and not a lot of people would see it. But I'm sure both men would want to go one more time with each other. And that's why I can't see Rick affecting Sting losing. because then I feel like there could be some kind of 1 or 2 month storyline between those two and going to some kind of maybe them have a tag match or them finding, going all, finding people to wrestle for them because obviously they can't go anymore. The second way to go is Darby turns on Sting. Now, I don't know if this is really what you want to do. Darby is such a face and so over. Now, obviously, this it's Sting's last match, right? So he's done. Darby, it's no Darby Allin. It's no hidden secret. He's going to climb Everest after this, so he's going to be away from TV either way. So I really don't think you can have him holding on to a belt with him going away to Everest, which kind of sucks because it's one of those things where the reality kind of takes away from what's on TV. Both men are pretty much leaving after Revolution. So the belts going on to the Jacksons makes sense. And them walking around, holding it up, and, so Darby can come back, but, he'll find a new partner or something like that. Or maybe take one of them one-on-one down the road when he comes back. But that's why it really doesn't make any sense in any scenario, whether it's clean, there's interference, anything like that. I really can't see an outcome where Darby and Sting win. And then there's the third outcome of all this. Sting goes out on top. Sting wins, whether it's clean or dirty. Then again, I don't think any win is going to be clean. Sting wins. Sting wins it. Darby wins it. They're in there. They embrace. They're crying. In comes Sting's family. I'm going to cry. I know I'm going to cry. I'm not crying. You're crying. I know you're going to be crying too. I've been waiting to see the vignettes and the GIFs on people reaching and crying like when Punk came back, of all the people in AEW. And I want to see one person on X making fun of somebody crying about Sting retiring in his last match. Okay? I've been a wrestling fan over 30 years. And Sting's been around for all of it. So watching a legend like that go out is wild. So maybe Sting and Darby win. They embrace. Everyone's crying. Waterworks everywhere. Then on Dynamite, here comes Tony Khan with a major announcement talking about how Sting is gone and Darby is gone to do different things after this long program with the tag belts. Now he's gone to Everest. I'm sure they'll cover that too on TV, which will be cool. On AEW, I should say. And Sting's gone. So then they have an open tournament going into probably Full Gear for who's going to be the new AEW tag champions. And again, I say it with WWE. I'm not biased. I'll say it with AEW. I know there's a lot of groups. That's probably the one thing I don't like about AEW. They remind me of back end WCW, where there's a lot of factions and everyone's in a faction. Like, I like Undisputed. 4 dudes. Cool. All right, great. The BCC, 4 or 5 dudes, depending on, what time you catch them. But then you have, like, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. And then you have Private Party with 15 other guys that they run with. And it's like, that's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of people. So I just think those teams to start breaking off and they need to have more tag team curriculum, I guess is the good word to have it, on AEW television. And what if you don't want to do it on Dynamite? That's a good way, and don't do it on Rampage. You got to maybe use Collision as your tag team show. Do things on that show and bring it over to AEW and have maybe finals of tournaments there, things like that. Big qualifying matches happen over there. But I think more tag team onus needs to be built into AEW. And I'll say, while we're talking about AEW, and there's a lot of times I do a lot of shows. It's mainly WWE. Okay, that's because WWE does a lot more big PLEs. AEW does what NXT does. AEW will have, like, during the month pay-per-views on their Wednesday shows, where, like, this upcoming Tuesday is NXT Roadblock, which is a little mini pay-per-view, like, to get them to stand and deliver, to sew up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that on our results show for Revolution. We'll talk about what I think is going to be going on for our predictions for Roadblock. But Roadblock is pretty much going to sew up the rest of the stories and the rest of the storylines that you need going into stand and deliver. So I say all that to say this, like AEW, I think, aside from the issues they have with selling tickets, it's no secret. And it's so funny to me that we're still talking about this stuff. Every time someone's at an AEW, someone's at a WWE show, we're taking pictures of the hard cam side. We're taking pictures of this. Listen, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay? Let Tony worry about him getting people in the seats. Just shitting on them and putting it on social media, it's stupid to me. You're not. I mean, if you really need to troll that bad, I mean, I guess do what you gotta do, get your clicks. I mean, if you're a guy who needs the interactions on your tweets, I guess, hey, if rent's due, you need some money, put it out there because when you put that out, everyone from if you're a WWE guy, and everyone from AEW is going to come and attack you, and things like that. So I mean, I guess if that's the route you want to go, I guess that's cool. Honestly, I think their ratings are great right now. They're better than what they were. They're getting a lot more eyes on the product. The product's getting better. He's working on the women's division. Mercedes, whether you like it or not, whether you like it, whether you love it, to quote The Rock, AEW is going to they're probably going to start hitting million viewers on Wednesday nights with Mercedes around. Especially, I can tell you right now, it's going to be sooner than later. You're not going to see her go very long without touching that women's championship. And I think that's another reason why you see it come off of Tony. You want Tony and Mercedes to meet down the road. I think it's too soon for her to be the first person you meet. But it being Perosa, being Mercedes, maybe Full Gear, let's throw it on Mercedes. It's the one time where someone comes in and gets a title thrown onto them, but it makes sense. Mercedes is here to help build this company, build this brand up. And with her name notoriety, the eye she's going to get on the product, you're going to start seeing Wednesdays, you're going to start seeing them hit that million viewer mark. And it's good. It's good. I've said it before, I say it again. It's great for business. It's good. I hope AEW starts doing 2 million on Wednesday. Good. Because all it's going to make is that Nick Khan and Paul Levesque over in Connecticut got to look at their product and go, shit, what do we do? These guys are rising up. What do we got to do with our product to get better, get more people over here? Everyone wins. Everyone wins. I love it. It's going to be great. And also, don't forget about TNA doing their thing. NWA, I think, eventually is going to find their stride somewhere. So that's how we see it. That's how we got it going down. We have a couple tweets up, a couple polls up. We tweeted out, so go find us over on Twitter at Chairshot Sports, also on Instagram as well, and on YouTube, Chairshot Sports. Following AEW Revolution tonight, we will have a results show that'll be on later on in the evening after the show. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about NXT Roadblock. Looking ahead to the next couple Raw and SmackDowns, talking about The Rock, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. So with that being said, one more time, I'll let you guys know, I'm John Anthony. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing night tonight watching AEW Revolution. Again, you can catch us on YouTube, Twitter, also on Instagram at Chairshot Sports. So guys, have a great night. We'll see you soon.